The Western Front in WW1 is remembered for trench warfare, where the front lines barely moved for nearly 3 years, and millions of men endured the muddy, bloody trenches and wire stretching for hundreds of kilometers. However, the war didn't begin this way. In August 1914, armies clashed in open battles, trying to outmaneuver each other in mobile warfare. So why did trench warfare start? When the First World War began in the summer of 1914, both Germany and France had ambitious plans for sweeping offensives, aiming to encircle and crush their enemies. But within weeks, mobile warfare faded, replaced by a grueling positional war of trenches and dugouts. While trenches were not new, they'd been used in conflicts like the Crimean War, the U.S. Civil War, and the Russo-Japanese War. The network built by the French, British, and German armies in 1914 was unprecedented in scale and complexity. Why did trench warfare begin in 1914? Both France and Germany's plans for mobile warfare failed. The German Schlieffen Plan aimed for a swift victory over France before turning to face Russia. Most of the German army was to sweep through Belgium into France, enveloping and crushing French forces. Meanwhile, the French Plan XVII aimed for a direct assault into Germany. Both plans hinged on mobile warfare and decisive battles, and both failed in August and September 1914. The Germans stalled the French in Alsace and Lorraine, causing heavy casualties. As the French scrambled to counter the German advance towards Paris, the Battle of the Marne stopped the German right wing. Once the initial plans failed, both sides tried to outflank each other in what became known as the Race to the Sea. By October 1914, trenches stretched nearly unbroken from the Swiss border to the English Channel. Mobile warfare had ended, replaced by trench warfare due to failed offensives and the lethal new technologies that made open battlefields deadly. Artillery, machine guns, and more advanced rifles increased battlefield lethality, forcing armies to seek shelter in trenches. Artillery was particularly deadly. The French 75mm gun, for instance, could fire rapidly and accurately over long distances. Modern artillery had much greater range and firepower compared to previous conflicts, leading to devastating bombardments. Rifles, like the British Lee Enfield and German Mauser, had greater range and firing rates, while machine guns could unleash a hail of bullets, making open assaults deadly. Despite recognizing these advancements, military leaders were unsure how they would impact warfare. Some believed in the offensive spirit, thinking that courage could overcome technological superiority. However, early battles showed that new weapons heavily favored defense, leading to massive casualty. By the end of 1914, France had lost 265,000 men, Germany 85,000, and Britain 30,000, with many of these losses occurring before trench warfare fully set in. Trench warfare was also enabled by problems of command and control. The vast armies were difficult to manage, and communication technology was inadequate. Commanders struggled to direct their forces effectively, and the lack of reliable communication systems hindered coordination. Logistical issues compounded the problem. Attackers found it hard to supply their troops as they moved into enemy territory, while defenders could reinforce and resupply more efficiently. The essence of the problem was that attackers' poor tactical mobility couldn't overcome defenders' greater operational and strategic mobility. The supply lines for attacking armies were stretched thin, leading to exhaustion and resupply issues, while defenders used interior lines to shift forces quickly. Additionally, the shortage of shells due to unanticipated high rates of fire further entrenched armies, as they couldn't sustain the bombardments needed for breakthrough. By fall 1914, trench warfare dominated the Western Front. The initial plans for mobile warfare had failed, and early attempts to break through trenches were thwarted by lethal firepower, inadequate tactics, command issues, and logistical challenges. From August to October 1914, trenches extended from Nancy to Verdun, along the Aisne, and through Belgium to the sea. These defenses withstood every attempt to breach them, leading to a stalemate that persisted for years. Despite the hope that trench warfare was temporary, it became the defining feature of the Western Front, with millions enduring its horrors until the deadlock was finally broken. When I travel from Vienna to the Real-Time History Studio in Berlin, I face multiple challenges crossing countries, like language barriers and restricted websites. Using a VPN like NordVPN solves these issues by allowing access to geo-blocked content and securing public Wi-Fi. NordVPN is easy to set up and use on both laptops and smartphones. We like to thank NordVPN for sponsoring this episode.